So our local ABC4 News has reported recently that in Salt Lake City, Utah, during our recent Gay Pride Parade, Devout members of the Mormon Church marched with the members of the LGBT community to show their support. This was organized by a woman named Erica Munson. It's a grassroots community group called Mormons Building Bridges. She started it on Facebook. They've already got about 900 people that have networked with this Facebook group.
Not too shabby.
She said that it's primarily made up of temple-going, tithing-paying faithful who believe that the president of the Mormon Church, Thomas Monson, is a prophet of God, and they want to share their message, which is that they love and they want to support the gay community, and that these people are welcome in their congregations, in their Mormon congregations, and that they say that they still believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, but they actually support gay marriage, which is a little schizophrenic to me, but not my problem.
Are they arguing they hate the sinner, love the sin, or something like that?
I think they're arguing something like that.
Love the sin or hate the sin?
I think they're arguing something like that, but they still say that they are in support of gay marriage, which, you know, it's all sort of schizophrenic to me. The thing that I want to really be like positive about this story, and in a way I think the story is very positive because it shows people in the community are they don't all have the obstinate view of being gay that their church has. You know, they're not just ironclad with a like, no, we should stone these people, you know, or whatever the particular thing is. But what makes me want to not see this as a positive story is the fact that they still say, yes, Thomas Monson, you know, is a prophet of God and he speaks for God, you know, as does the rest of our church leaders, the Quorum of the 72, and all these people, but we think they're wrong. Even though they speak for God, and God is saying X, we still think that X is incorrect, and we want to go forward with things like, you know, same-sex marriages. We want to show these people we support them. And so, I called this before when I said the Mormon Church is has lost this argument already. The Republican Party and all the conservatives and these Christian evangelical groups who want to fight gay marriage and fight the idea that we have to treat gay people, you know, with this equality. They've already lost the argument. Now it's just the march of history. It's like the civil rights movement. You know, maybe they're going to slow it down. Maybe they'll make us drag our feet as a society. But it's sort of a foregone conclusion at this point. And I think that's what the Mormon Church is starting to experience. Their members are giving way. Their
Almost
members,
all churches are experiencing that right now.
And they're fighting it as much as they can, and they're going to continue to fight it. But it's really a question at this point of like, we should start the betting pool, and how long before the Mormon Church has the next revelation from God, where, you know, as polygamy before it, they finally say, oh, you know what? And then blacks being in the priesthood. How long really until it totally crumbles and like, you know what? God came to us, and it turns out gay marriage is totally on the table now. And then how long before they have the statement of, oh, well, you know, Joseph Smith always said it was cool. We're catching up to how enlightened he was now. How long is it really?
Well, actually, I don't know. Didn't we put a bet on this? Didn't I say like 12 years about 3 months ago?
I don't remember if we had this conversation.
I think we had this conversation. I thought I put down hard numbers, but...
You know what we really need to do is we need to get poster board, and we can take emails from our subscribers, and we'll have the big board of like who gets closest to the date, and maybe that person...
Per month for the next couple of years?
Yeah.
I think it's actually longer, further
I don't
away
think
than
it's,
you realize.
I
like
think,
when
I haven't told you what my estimate is, have
we
I?
have had this conversation actually, but go ahead with your
I wouldn't put this within months. I think, not even years. I would actually put it within decades. I would say 20 years. That would be my official guess. 20 years before the Mormon Church has its revelation and actually says, okay, now gay marriage is permitted. It's no longer a sin for, you know, gay sex and all that.
I remember the caveat that I had made, which was that when all 50 states allow for gay marriage, that it'll be within the year that the Mormon Church allows it, and or within the year that Utah allows it. That was my. I remember we had this conversation before, and that was the hard line I set. Was it's going to be once the law says it's okay, the church is just going to have to be like, fuck.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it really is a matter of public opinion, because you look at like the ad campaigns that the Mormon Church has been running for probably the last 3 or 4 years. They really are trying to look mainstream, and I think that's why you're right when because it's already starting with the way states are making it legal, or at least making it not illegal, which is a bit of a slight difference. But when the dominoes start to fall and more states start coming into acceptance of gay marriage, basically, when I think the Mormon Church sees that enough of the population is arrayed against them on this subject, that's when they will change their view.
Well, that's my point.
Because that's the one thing that they don't seem to be able to tolerate right now, is like they're trying to make themselves as palatable as possible to the wider population of the United States. And so I mean, what was it with polygamy? It was the idea that if they didn't deal with that issue in the way the United States government wanted them to, they weren't going to get statehood.
Exactly.
And it was becoming a problem. You know, we're not that far from where Fort Douglas is, where the American government put up a military outpost, in part at least, to keep an eye on the Mormons, because they didn't want them like trying to secede and make their own country within the middle of the United States. Like, that wasn't gonna fly.
Exactly.
And when it became better for the Mormon Church to cave on this issue and continue to exist, more or less, you know, and to avoid the persecution, they did. And then it was the same thing with the civil rights movement. When they realized that their position was going to be untenable, they flipped on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing that we're going to see here, because I think that in reality, the leadership of the Mormon Church is pragmatic on these kinds of issues.
Best way to make money and keep membership.
Sure. So, you know, and then they're having such a problem with membership anyways. I think that's they're becoming desperate to retain members.
Yeah, they're not going to go. I don't think they're willing to go as the mainstream LDS. I mean, FLDS is willing to do it, but but the mainstream LDS is not willing to go the route that the current Pope is, as far as having a smaller congregation of more devout people. They would rather I mean, they still want to stay devout. I know that devout, but they
but the Catholics at least have a little more wiggle room in the sense that there are millions and millions, hundreds of millions of Catholics, supposedly. According to the census data that we've seen recently, the Mormon Church at best has 14 million members, but the data that came out just this last year pointed out that they apparently only really have 5 million active members. That's not a lot. No. Not really. And that was worldwide, 5 million active members. So that's not even in Utah or the United States. No. That's worldwide. That's pretty small numbers. That's a lot smaller than they would like everyone to think that they are.
Still make a lot of money, though.
Well, of course they do. But I don't see what that has to do with this story.
Well, no, my point is that's why that's why they're willing to be more flexible, because they manage it like a business.
Well, of course.
And whatever makes them the most profit and keeps the business afloat, that's what they'll do.
Right. That's why ultimately they'll cave. So exactly. I say 20 years. What do you think?
I say a year within either Utah making it legal or all 50 states making it legal. Because I think that's going to be. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's going to be based on, just like you were talking, the mainstream.
Yeah, but that's not
the public, consensus on that.
If I'm really going to go out and spend the 50 cents on some poster board and do a pool. A betting pool, and we'll have to decide on what the pride is. You have to actually come up with a date.
From now, 13 years.
13 years. Okay. Please email your guesses. I'm going to put this together. I'm going to, at cost to myself, get the poster board and the Sharpie. We're gonna get it back here. We're gonna have, what should we call it? Mormon flip-flop watch, something like that.
I don't believe you at all, by the way.
Oh well, now it's definitely gonna happen. Just to prove you wrong, because you're an asshole. Outcasts out.